Hi guys, how are you all? Happy Monday. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I've just been trying to get on a couple of times, but again, gosh, the Wi-Fi's been a bit cray-cray. I just went for a beautiful swim. You know how I'm getting out more in nature and grounding myself while I was out, and I did a beautiful swim this morning. Oh, it was amazing because it was such a hot night. But it was absolutely lovely, and it just sort of brings me down, and it's a great way to start the week. I'm definitely going to be doing that every Monday. That's my commitment, and definitely grounding myself is a huge commitment that I'm going to be doing. And I've started reading, well, actually on the audiobook, it's called The 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And it's really interesting. It's about using that 5 seconds. Sometimes when we make a decision or we make a call about our life or something, we've only got 5 seconds to make that decision. So like getting out of bed, you've got to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, out. And it actually triggers a part of your brain that stops you from making those excuses. So I've been doing that, and actually it's worth a read. It's a really good book. And for those of you that kind of procrastinate, for those of you that maybe set your snooze in the morning, or don't go for that run because you're tired, or don't go for that yoga, it's actually a really good way of getting around that. So definitely it's called The 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins. So hello. So today I'm going to be talking about the liver. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Naomi Judge. I'm a Naturopath and Clinical Nutritionist, and I practice out of Sydney. And I also do have online programs, Breakthrough Program, and the Breakthrough Membership. And I help women connect the dots between their health, their happiness, and their hormones. And it's a huge subject, and so much goes on with our hormones. But today I wanted to talk about the liver, and I wanted to talk about how the liver not only impacts your hormones, but impacts many other areas of your health. Because sometimes we think just doing a liver cleanse, just doing a juice fast, or just doing, lots of people used to do the lemon detox diet, or maybe you go to your local pharmacy and you get a liver detox on the shelf and you do that and you think that's enough. But we don't really need to do those intense detoxes necessarily. Cleansing your liver is about the everyday decisions you make, and you can actually cleanse your liver really beautifully on a daily basis. Using natural foods, using some supplements if you need to. If you think your liver's working poorly and you're getting estrogen dominant symptoms, or maybe you're suffer from allergies, or you get reoccurring headaches, reoccurring migraines, estrogen dominant symptoms, so cysts, or maybe fibroids, or heavy painful periods, sore swollen breasts. Also other signs are puffy under the eyes, waking up in the morning being really, really puffy. That's a huge sign of the liver needing to cleanse. Other signs can be your mood. So, actually feeling down, because if the liver's not working properly, it's going to not only affect your histamine levels, it might bring your histamine levels up, and that might make you a little bit anxious, allergy prone, but it might also affect your serotonin and dopamine. So you might find you get a bit depressed. That's why sometimes a lot of people that drink regularly, it does affect their neurotransmitters. It does affect GABA, does affect glutamate, but serotonin and dopamine as well. So you might find if you're drinking on a regular basis, even if it's like 1 or 2 drinks a night, you might find that affects your moods, and it makes you a bit low. So just watch out for that as well, because I know, 1 drink a night doesn't seem like a lot, but if you've got liver issues, it might affect that. Other signs, bruising easily. So bruising easily, and also having very fragile capillaries. So broken capillaries, broken veins, on the face or anywhere else in the body, excessive spider veins, that kind of thing. But definitely the bruising easily is a sign that you need to do a little bit of liver work. Eyes are a big one as well, particularly if they start to yellow. So yellowing eyes can mean a build-up of bilirubin. It can also mean that your liver's not cleansing, again, as effectively as it should be. So that can be a sign. And your skin also, unclear skin, having acne-prone skin or just blemished skin. Particularly in these areas, Liver detoxification can come up in these areas. So right in the middle of your eyebrow and also on your temples can mean a lot of liver. So if you have spots that come up overnight, that can mean liver. So just be aware of that. And another one, and this is why apple cider vinegar and bitter foods work really well for the liver, because another sign that the liver might not be cleansing can be constipation. So if you suffer from constipation a lot, having bitter foods or having some apple cider vinegar in the morning, or some people find that a homeopathic called Nux vomica taken at night, which actually helps stimulate the liver, and that can actually be very good for that kind of liverish condition plus constipation. Talking about liverish conditions, that's another sign of the liver not working as well as it should be. You know, that kind of nausea when you're traveling, so being out, maybe feeling car sick. Also nausea in the morning and not feeling like eating, that can kind of be a bit of a liverish condition. So just watch out for that. So you can see there are so many different signs and symptoms that your liver might not be working, and maybe you just have one or two of them because the liver goes through phases, just like we go through phases. So particularly women, if you think about your cycle, there are times in your cycle when your hormones are higher, so your estrogens are higher. So what that means there's a lot more work for your liver to do in terms of metabolites. And say you've got a big party season and you're drinking during that time, plus you wake up with a hangover and you're taking paracetamol during that time, plus you're ovulating and you've got all these hormones that your liver needs to deal with, plus the paracetamol, plus the alcohol. There's a lot going on, and that can really impact your health depending on the time of the month. So know for women that your monthly cycle does impact your liver health. It does impact how your liver detoxifies, whether it slows up or gets faster. So just be aware of that, because I know I have lots of clients who say they get hungover in particular times of their cycle. They say, well, this time of my cycle I can drink more alcohol and I feel good, and this time I have a glass of wine and the next day I'm feeling nauseous, hungover, and really not feeling great. So that it just your liver goes in cycles. So work naturally with those cycles, work naturally with your liver, and also you can be more strategic about your liver cleansing as well. Okay, so your liver function, really the basic function of your liver is it's a whole detox cycle. We've got phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1 of the liver detoxification cycle is where it gets hormones, it gets toxins, it gets substances, it gets dioxins, and what it does is it breaks them down into water-soluble substances. They either go into phase 2 and get broken down into friendlies that can be excreted, or they might go straight to the kidneys. And this is why a lot of people with liver issues actually get kidney issues, because it depends the kind of the amount of substances that go from your liver, how your phase 1 is working, what it's sending your kidneys. You know, are they broken down effectively or are they inflammatory? So that's another thing to think about if you ever get kidney issues. So that's phase 1, and then basically phase 2 is about all these other processes. You know, methylation, when we talk about MTHFR, we talk about conjunction pathway. So basically phase 2 is about getting these molecules and kind of making them safe in your body. So phase 2 is about getting the byproducts of phase 1 detoxification, taking the byproducts and making the byproducts safe. This is where it gets complicated, okay? And this is where sometimes just going full on to a liver detox isn't the best thing for you. Hi Kelly, how's it going? Yeah, definitely the liver can affect your weight. So when we've got liver problems as well, we might have fatty liver. And if we've got fatty liver, that can stop us from losing weight, and particularly putting weight on around the middle. Anyone with MTHFR might have issues with fatty liver, so just be aware of that and you can treat accordingly. So I've got notes here actually, just so I can remember all the processes, because I can remember a lot from the top of my head, but the processes I can't remember from the top of my head all the time because lots of words and I've just got to be focused. So I've got a few notes written down and I'll just look to them if I need to. They're over there. But you know, you've got a number of different pathways. So one pathway, the conjunction pathway and the methylation pathway. And this is where we talk about methylation, and this is where if you're MTHFR, you can be implicated. It can cause issues, because if your phase 1 is working nicely, or if your phase 1 is working too fast, it's going to send these byproducts to your liver. Now, if you've got MTHFR, you're most likely low in glutathione. And glutathione is one of the kind of conjunction molecules that helps in this enzyme reaction and helps to grab on and to make these byproducts safe. Others are vitamin B6, we've got NAC, we've got glycine. So all of those help to make these molecules safe. But if you've got MTHFR and you're low in glutathione, what's essentially going to happen is your phase 1 of your liver is going to send the byproducts. It's going to send it to your liver, and then it's going to cause an inflammatory response, because the second phase, it cannot work because you haven't got the glutathione. That's one of the main issues with MTHFR, and this is one of the main things that you really need to focus on. You really need to make sure you're taking glutathione or you're taking NAC, because what essentially happens, and I see this a lot of the time, is these molecules, they go to the phase 2, they cause this inflammatory response, and what the inflammatory response looks like is it can look and feel like anxiety, hyperactive, running from task to task, that anxiety feeling. That's one. For others, it can be fatigue, really extreme fatigue. You know, you can't, those byproducts, they're causing inflammation, and with inflammation we get anxiety, or we get fatigue, or we get pain. You know, pain is a huge one. Fibromyalgia. Now, fibromyalgia is a symptom and a sign of MTHFR, and this is one of the main reasons, because we've got these byproducts in the liver that can't be made safe because you haven't got enough glutathione. This is why taking NAC, eating asparagus is so very important. Okay, so other pathways, we've got the methylation, which I've talked about, and methylation also needs sulfur, so things like SAMe, things like MSM, or foods like broccoli, onion, garlic, all help this process as well. So you can see how it's just not as simple as doing one liver detox. You've got to take into account what your symptoms are, you've got to take into account what other conditions are going on, and then you've got to take into account actually how is your liver working. Hi Gracie, I hope you had a beautiful weekend. Hi. So methylation needs the sulfur, and then we've got other conjunction pathways that help to get rid of hormones. And this is where the thyroid comes in. So if you've got autoimmune thyroid issues, you're more likely to have a slower phase 2. So phase 2 is slower with thyroid conditions. This is because you're creating enzymes which actually slow one of the enzyme pathways down. So if you've got Hashimoto's or if you've got Graves', you'll most likely have a slower phase 2. So what does this mean? This means if you drink coffee, this means if you drink alcohol, this means if you have grapefruit, okay, grapefruit as well, you speed up phase 1. Phase 2 is slowed down, so you will get more hyper or hypothyroid symptoms, whether that's being overreactive, whether that's being anxious, whether that's running from task to task, whether it's fatigue, whether it's weight gain. So remember that anyone with MTHFR, slower phase 2, anyone with any thyroid issues, you have a bacteria, more likely to have a bacteria in your stomach that produces an enzyme that slows down phase 2. So just remember that when you're working on your liver, and just remember that when you're working on phase 1, because you might actually find that things like turmeric and things like grapefruit actually make you feel a little bit more hyperactive or make you feel a little bit more foggy. So just be careful with that's why those with autoimmune conditions need to be careful sometimes with turmeric, because turmeric can also affect phase 1, speeds it up. For some that can be good. Some signs and symptoms actually, some signs and symptoms that phase 1 is too slow. Normally it's too fast and phase 2 is too slow. But you know when you're sensitive to perfumes and sensitive to smells and they make you feel sick, that can actually mean that phase 1 is too slow. And so what's actually good for that are things like cardamom. Cardamon's actually good for that. If coffee makes you anxious or hyperactive, actually having a little bit of cardamom in the coffee can actually help with that phase. So that's quite interesting. So other things that can help you, particularly if you've got a slow phase 2, I love dill. Dill is very good. Caraway seeds are really good. I mean, I put dill in everything these days because I can feel it supporting my liver detoxification pathways. Limonene is good, and this is why you do need to be careful with essential oils, because essential oils are strong and they do work. But if you're taking, say, I'm not a fan of taking essential oils internally. Definitely not using say essential oil drops as a replacement, but having them definitely in your environment is fantastic. But limonene can be in a lot of essential oils, and that can affect phase 2 of your liver detoxification, for the better for some, but for others maybe not so good. So just see how you feel. If you find that burning essential oils actually makes you on edge a little bit, or actually increases allergies, some people allergies will flare up, it could mean that it's affecting your phase 2. So just be careful there. If you've got estrogen dominance, now estrogen dominance normally means that you've got a slower phase 2, so you've got less enzymes to break down the hormones. And what generally happens is, if phase 1 is working nicely and it will break the hormones down, again it will send metabolites to the liver. Now anybody that's got any COMT, MTHFR, or even any other methylating issues will find that, this is really interesting, we'll find that taking things like licorice, taking things like rhodiola, taking really adrenal stimulants can cause anxiety. Now this is because there's a few variants of methylation issues, but one of the variants of the methylation issues is that cortisol, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone all create their own metabolites. And if you've got a methylation variant of COMT or MTHFR, what that's going to do is, if you start to try and produce more estrogen or more cortisol using things like licorice or rhodiola, it's going to create more metabolites in the system, which is going to create more inflammation. And inflammation can look like anxiety, inflammation can look like fatigue, and inflammation can also look like weight gain very quickly. So if you get inflamed, you could literally put on, 3 kilos overnight. And I do see that with clients sometimes, particularly with methylation variants. So just be aware of that as well. Look, it's really complex, and really it just needs to be broken down simply into steps, looking at phase 1, phase 2. So I probably will do that as well, because there is so much to look at when we look at the liver, and the more you go into it, the more you realize how it affects MTHFR, how it affects your estrogen dominance, and even testosterone dominance as well. So just be aware of that, and just think about that when you are cleansing your liver. What other conditions do you have? And when you cleanse your liver, how do you feel? Do you feel fatigued? Do you feel anxious? Or do you feel good? Do you feel at ease? How are you actually feeling? So really looking after your liver is about supporting your liver. It's about supporting it so it can do its job effectively. And its two main jobs are to secrete bile, because the bile helps to grab onto toxins, and then we excrete that bile out in our bowel motion. And second job is via the portal vein, comes from our intestines. So it brings blood to the liver, and the portal vein brings the blood to the liver, and there's kind of a detoxification that way. So those are the two processes. But to support it, so what we need to support it is we need to really reduce the toxins we're exposed to, reduce the things that we're having that might slow the liver down and cause a buildup of toxins. So paracetamol is definitely one that does affect the liver. That affects the liver, and that can actually reduce the enzyme reactions in the liver. Another one is antihistamines. So those people that have allergies that take antihistamines every day, that can actually be causing a buildup in the liver of histamine, because antihistamines will slow the liver down. When we've got a slow liver, it increases histamine in the tissue, histamine in our body, and it slows down the methylation cycle. So if you've got allergies and you take antihistamines every single day, then there might be an issue you've got there with the antihistamines, and it might be causing this vicious cycle. So you really need to look at your practitioner about the root cause of your allergies. And if it is a histamine issue, you can look at doing things like Olive oil, raw olive oil, helps to break down histamine. Sprouts helps to break down histamine. So just have a look at a few things you can do, and then just take out high histamine foods like all those fermented vegetables, tomatoes, alcohol, vinegars, all the things we say are good, but they are high histamine, and you can try that for a couple of weeks and see how you go. Now, fructose is a big one. So fructose, like alcohol, is metabolized in our liver, and fructose plus MTHFR, they cause an issue. They really do cause an issue. We're looking at fatty liver. Fatty liver increases your liver enzymes, and then we've got lots of inflammation going on. So you really need to reduce your fructose intake. So definitely, agave, reduce agave, high fructose cornstarch, and then just have like 1 or 2 servings of fruit a day. And then alcohol. So alcohol speeds up phase 1. So in a sense, if it's speeding up phase 1, it is causing a little bit of a detoxification. And this is why alcohol supplements from your naturopath, you know how you might have a liquid, they're actually in alcohol. And some say they actually help get to the liver a little bit more. And that can be true. So definitely the alcohol can have a positive on one phase, but if you've got a slow phase 2, which is ultimately does cause, then you get the issues and you get the toxin buildup. So those are the things definitely to reduce, and the things that I love to do that can support your liver. My favorite supplement at the moment to support liver, particularly if you've got estrogen dominance, particularly if you've got thyroid problems, and particularly if you've got things like estrogen dependent cancers, endometriosis, is calcium D-glucarate. So that actually helps to assist the body in breaking down some of the byproducts and actually creating the enzymes so they can grab onto the byproducts and they can be made safe. That's one of my favorite supplements. It works. Lots and lots of studies have been done on it. It's a wonderful supplement. It is harder to get. There are a few, Bioceuticals does do it. iHerb have a lovely supplement called Breast Care that has it in. So it's worth getting if you do have estrogen dominant issues, and then that will have the added benefit of working on your liver. I love doing things to actually, hi Cheryl, how are you? Lovely to see you here. I love doing things to support the liver, so taking the burden off. So you know how much I love oil pulling, and oil pulling does support the liver. So, I love oil pulling. I love using things like lemon and apple cider vinegar as a daily thing to help with the liver. You do have to be careful with your teeth because of the acid. So either do it through a straw, and if you do have teeth problems, I actually recommend you don't do apple cider vinegar and lemon, just because it changes the acid balance in your mouth. So you do need to be careful, really careful, particularly with sensitive teeth. So that's a no-no, I would say. I love polyphenols. So polyphenols are found in foods like berries, your blueberries, and what polyphenols, rosehip tea, beautiful. They act as an antioxidant for the liver, and they can help with the detoxification process. I do love that. And brassicas help with phase 2. So brassicas are your broccoli, brassicas are your cabbage. They help with phase 2. They've got indoles in them, which again help with those enzyme reactions. They help to make the byproducts safe so we can excrete them through our bowel. So even having a cup of those a day can be good. Always remember to cook them because they can be hard to digest. And if you do have hypothyroid symptoms, or you do have SIBO, fructose malabsorption, and you find those difficult to digest, then maybe just leave those ones out. You can always take a cut supplement like calcium D-glucarate. Now, with any liver cleanse routine, it's really important that you take milk thistle. So milk thistle is a supplement that doesn't actually detox the liver. What it does is it supports the byproducts. So when your phase 1 is doing what it needs to do and it creates these byproducts, they go into phase 2. Now what milk thistle does is it supports this, and it acts as an antioxidant. So antioxidants can be things like glutathione, vitamin E, vitamin C, and milk thistle. It acts as a really strong antioxidant, and it supports the liver. So any detoxification regime, you need to have the antioxidants. Otherwise, it's going to cause issues again with anxiety, with pain, with fatigue. So have a think about what your main symptoms are, and are these related to liver detoxification symptoms? Because it could be definitely fibromyalgia, definitely inflammation, definitely pain, and fatigue. So I love milk thistle. Green tea is really good. It's beautiful. 1 cup of green tea a day, acts as a bitter. So it's a bitter stimulant. So it helps with digestion. It also helps with liver detoxification. And like polyphenols, what's beautiful about green tea is it acts as a food for your bacteria in your gut. So it's got a double whammy. It's really great. I do love it. That's another reason why some people start taking green tea and they just notice their skin starts clearing up, and they're feeling better, because it really is having an action on the liver. And then definitely increase your bitters. Dandelion, lemon, endive, rocket is really good. Red oak lettuce. These bitters will help your liver as well to cleanse and detoxify. So making sure, the number one rule is just making sure you're getting some really natural antioxidants. And if you don't have to, don't take antioxidants necessarily in a supplement form unless you've been prescribed by a naturopath, because you're low in antioxidants. Taking some berries, having a little bit of fruit, green vegetables each day, coloured vegetables each day, your green tea, maybe a little bit of dark chocolate. Coffee is also an antioxidant. So all of those things themselves, the natural antioxidants, should be enough. Again, if you've got any methylation issues, you may be low in antioxidants, so that's when you need to supplement. But it's really important that you see a specialist when doing that, and a naturopath or a holistic GP, because some antioxidants at high doses can have the opposite effect. So we think about antioxidants grabbing onto toxins, but if there's too many, they can also have an inflammatory effect and again speed up some processes. So just make sure that you're seeing someone when you're looking at taking antioxidants. So have I said everything? I think I've said everything I wanted to say. So we've talked about, we've done an overview of the liver. My favorite the signs and symptoms, my favorite things for the liver. And I did also want to just quickly talk about, I've got a note that I wanted to talk about keto, because a lot of you are doing keto. Keto is a really great diet, high fat diet. But what keto does is it speeds up phase 1, okay? So if some of you are having problems with a ketogenic diet, it's speeding up phase 1. And if you've got a slow phase 2, you really need to work on that phase 2 and work out what's going on. So some people might be getting exacerbation of symptoms with going on a keto diet, because it does speed up phase 1. This is why a ketogenic diet does not go hand in hand and does not work with drinking alcohol, because then you've got these two things speeding up phase 1. And when phase 1 is sped up, you've then got more toxins in the liver causing inflammation. So just be aware of that. Keto diet's good, but keto with alcohol or anything else that speeds up phase 1 really shouldn't be mixed together. It can actually be quite dangerous in the body, because it's the byproducts of the toxins that can cause a lot of the issues in your body. And looking at pain, inflammation, high estrogen, high cortisol, allergies, that kind of thing, that can cause a lot of issues. So I hope that helped in terms of just a broad overview of the liver. And what I will try and do is actually break it down and give you a little bit more information on the phase 1 and the phase 2, and maybe a little bit of a questionnaire, so you can actually get in a little bit deeper and figure out what phase 1 and phase 2, and what's working for you and what's not working for you. And then you can actually be more specific with your liver cleansing protocol. So I'm going to do that, and that's going to be quite exciting, and that's going to give you help you go a little bit more deeper with the liver and also how it impacts your hormones. So I hope you've had got some great info from today. Great to have you on. Thanks, Grace. Thanks, Cheryl, for saying hi. And I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm feeling great after my swim this morning. Absolutely loved it. And definitely going to be going for another one in the week. And definitely every Monday, rain or shine, I'm going to be going. I say that now, but then when it gets to winter, I'm not quite sure. No, I am. I'm committed. Remember the 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mel Robbins' book, 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So it gives you don't have time to change your mind. So just make a decision, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, move your body, and then do it. So that's my advice for the week. So have a great day, guys. It was lovely seeing you here, and I'll talk to you soon. Just quickly before I go, if you're watching this in the next week, so what are we today, with the 29th of January 2018, Brenda and I are doing the body bounce back. It's starting on the 7th of Feb. So if you're seeing this within that time frame, you can still join the body bounce back plan. I'll pop a link in for you guys so you can join up. It's a 5-day plan to help you bounce back and just to help you get your health back on track. So it's really fun. We've got a Facebook page, but that's for those of you that are watching this before the 7th of Feb 2018. So talk to you all soon. Bye.